What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Revived, episode number 17. I am your host, as always, Shane Craig, and joining me is the lovely Jessi Craig.
Happy late Halloween.
Right, it's the day after Halloween. Is there like a name for there's like a name before Thanksgiving, right? Black Friday's the Friday before, there's no name for the day after Halloween? Christmas Eve.
I mean, there is a name for it, but it's not a traditional holiday.
Okay, well, fair enough. It's the day after Halloween, everybody, which you'll be listening to this on podcasts on the following day after that. But at any rate, if you're on YouTube, happy the day after Halloween. If you don't know, Podcast Revived is where we share our love of tech, gaming, and nerd culture with all of you lovely listeners and viewers. We record every week and we post on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I can't think of any more, all of them, every single week. So be sure to leave a like, a rating, a share if you want to do that. That'd be great. And perhaps even a review if you're on iTunes or something like that. If you do leave a review, we will potentially read said review on the show, on the air live, for everyone else to get to hear your lovely name. If you have a question, a topic you want us to talk about, you can either tweet it at me at scaryifliteral or head to scaryifliteral.com and look for the form down there at the bottom of the page. So that is my intro for the show today. Jessi, how are you feeling this morning? I know we've got a little bit of, interesting, maybe news from your side if you want to talk about what's been going on with you for the last day or so.
Yeah, so, just first of all, I'm really feeling the spooky season. I love that. I'm excited. I'm going to carve some pumpkins today and take the seeds out and make baked seeds and try and make pumpkin bread. But also, I got a new phone. So,
if you did not see, I did an unboxing on our channel of the Pixel 5, which I felt like was I feel like one of my better unboxing videos that I've done. I felt like it went really well. I felt like it was a fun video. I wish more people will have watched the video because it was a good video. But if you haven't seen it, a lot of people in the comments are asking, they're like, what happened to the V60? Well, if you missed that, the V60 got returned. Too big for you. Didn't use the dual screen case quite as much as maybe we thought that you might. So it got returned, and the Pixel 5 is the new daily carry for you. So you've had it in your hands for a full day. Today's day 2. Yeah. So what was day 1 with the Pixel 5 like for you?
Day 1, for any new phone is frustrating because I have to log into all my apps and I can't remember all my passwords, so that's fun.
We need to figure out why Google's not remembering your stuff. Because when I switch phones, I touch the username and it's like, oh, this is Twitter and this is your stuff. You want to use that? And I hit autofill and it just logs me in. So I don't know why. I don't know why you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, mine doesn't remember any of that stuff. The main thing that I love about it is that I don't feel like I'm gonna drop it constantly because it's grippy on the back. I probably don't have a good enough camera to even see that, but it's like a matte. Is that like a metal? Is that like a metal?
Yeah,
right
it's actually a really odd thing about the Pixel 5, which I didn't actually really talk about in the unboxing, is that it's actually made of, recycled aluminum, which is quite interesting, and it's got this coating on it that gives it a kind of a grippier texture. Now, what's strange about it being aluminum is that wireless charging has not been a thing through aluminum because it just doesn't work. You have to have glass. So what they've done is apparently there's a cutout back there somewhere that allows the current to get through to the wireless charging coil.
That's actually really interesting. I was curious, how is it doing wireless charging if it's metal, if it's aluminum, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty cool though. The thing I love about it is it's the same size as the Pixel 3 that I had, which I don't have in here. The bezels are a lot smaller, And that's actually something like it didn't bother me on the Pixel 3 at all that the bezels were that small until I went to my Xiaomi phone and then went back to the Pixel 3
And you
and
felt like
also using the LG V60 that had a beautiful screen too, but
so when you used a phone that had no chin, no forehead, no bezels really, going back to the Pixel 3 felt a little
yeah,
clunky.
it did. And then coming back to this, I mean it obviously has like the frame around the side, but like that doesn't bother me. And you know what? I have probably like a very unpopular opinion. I'm not bothered by the hole punch either. Like that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know what there's something about it that I'm just like it's okay. It's fine right there.
I mean, it's off to the side. It's relatively small. It's not.
Yeah, if it was in the middle, that would bother me a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't. It didn't bother me a ton looking at it. I feel like you could probably get used to it over time. I'm not a huge fan of hole punches and screens just in general,
Yeah.
but I think that um, you know I think as hole punches go, it's not super distracting.
Yeah, and then the camera bump is not
It's almost not a bump,
it's it's nothing like what you see today.
and that's
They
something
do it
too
from that
that
side. That's better. Well,
that's
maybe.
that's something too that speaking of the camera bump, people have talked about for a while that um okay, like one of the things about the Duo, it's super duper thin, it doesn't have a great camera. Well, the reason it doesn't have a great camera is because it's super duper thin. So you can't fit a 48 megapixel camera in a body that's that thin. If you look at the Note 20 Ultra, and the literally the camera bump is nearly as thick as the Surface Duo is unfolded.
It's
I mean, it's
huge.
massive, but that's because they're trying to fit a gigantic camera in there. The bigger the camera is, literally the bigger the sensor is, it's 100 megapixels. It's going to be a physically larger camera, duh. So it's not going to fit in smaller spaces. You can't fit
Right.
something big into something small. So the Pixel 5 is using a 12 megapixel, I think it's a 12.2 megapixel primary sensor, which is the same primary camera it's been using since, I want to say, the Pixel 2. So the Pixel 2 has the same camera as the Pixel 5, which has the same camera as the Pixel 3. They're all the same sensor. And it's not a big sensor, it's a sufficient sensor. And then the wide angle, I think, is a 16 megapixel camera. So even still, not a huge sensor. Now, the
Yeah.
question for Google is they keep doing more and more with, AI and processing. And I mean, look, they've done a lot. The Pixel line revolutionized cameras in phones, totally revolutionized
Yeah.
it. That being said, I picked up my Pixel 3, took it outside, took a picture, took your Pixel 5, took the same picture, and looked at them both, and they were indistinguishable.
Yeah.
Now that's
They're
not
the
a
same.
not a bad thing, because the Pixel 3 still has a phenomenal camera. But I guess what I'm getting at is I think that the days where Pixels could have a huge lead in camera performance simply through their software may be coming to an end, because now, for a long time, the Pixel 3 versus Samsung's phone, the Pixel 3 had a clearly better camera. Now the Pixel 5 versus the Note 20 Ultra, with the Note 20 Ultra's, dedicated zoom lens, wide angle lens, huge 108 megapixel camera, it's really, really close. Pretty much everybody has a great camera. Like, the camera on the Duo 3 years ago wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It would have been like,
Yeah.
it's a camera. It's fine. It's fine. It would have blended right in with most, stuff. Not the Pixels, but with most mid-range phones. Now, every camera on every phone looks incredible. So Google's going to have to do something. They're going to have to not use the same sensor on the Pixel 6.
Mhm.
I don't think that they can keep riding the same wave like they have been.
I don't think they're going to. I think that they're gonna do like, okay, so the first Pixels, they, like you said, revolutionized the camera. and they were really like they stood out. People really were like, "Oh, that's a Pixel," you know? That's really
Yeah.
cool. You don't see those that often. And now they're kind of fading into the background because they're not doing anything like revolutionary. But they've kind of done like this wave of like they'll have like a flagship phone and then they'll do like budget phones and then they'll do another big one that's like outstanding and then they do, you know, more budget phones. So what if the next one that they do is a flagship killer and it has a new camera on it? I mean,
Well,
are they gonna try and take back that ground that they've lost? Because they definitely have.
I don't know, because what's really interesting about the current Pixel phones was that, you know, when you looked at before the Pixel 1, there's a 1 and a or what they call it, a 1 Pixel and the Pixel XL, and then
Yeah.
there's the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL, and there's the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 3 XL, and they were all getting more expensive as you went because phones were just doing that. They were a
Yeah.
proper flagship expensive phone. And then you got the Pixel 3a, which was a stripped down, cheaper plastic phone that had the same great camera, and it had actually better battery life because I think they used a mid-range chipset and a bigger battery, and they priced it as a budget phone. Then they did the Pixel 4 and the 4 XL. Then they did the Pixel 4a. So you got the 4 is the super premium, the 4a is your budget phone. And what they started noticing was that the 3A outsold the 3 and the 4A outsold the 4, which, ooh, big shock, the cheaper phone that's really good outsells the expensive phone. But then what they decided to do with the Pixel 5 is really interesting. They didn't build a $1,000 Pixel 5. They built a $700 Pixel 5, which realistically should have been a $600 Pixel 5 if they didn't put a fucking useless millimeter wave antenna in there that nobody should give two shits about yet. But whatever, it's in there, so it's $700. But still, the cheapest iPhone is $700. The most expensive Pixel is $700. So they're butting up against each other in that way. So then the question is the Pixel 6, which way is the Pixel 6 going to go? Is the Pixel 6 going to be rocking the Snapdragon 865, and is it going to go, you know, top of the line specs? Or are they going to admit at this point that they're going to make more hay at this price point? I would love to see them stay where they are. If they could make a $700 phone, look, to me, you take the Pixel 5. The Pixel 5 is, you know, with our brief time with it, nothing about the Pixel 5 is like, oh my God, that is absolutely unbelievable. But everything about the Pixel 5 is at least, hey, that's really good. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing bad about the Pixel 5. Like, what's the worst part of the phone? I mean, it's just rock solid. You know,
I don't know. I like everything about it.
There's nothing about it that I'm seeing that I'm like, well, you know, it's like the Duo is like, oh, it's tremendous for multitasking, but the camera kind of sucks. Or, you know, some people don't like the bezels, or the speaker kind of sucks. With the Pixel 5, it's like, how's the screen? It's good. Looks good. 90 hertz. Looks really good. How are the speakers? Pretty good. You know?
Which, by the way, one thing I love that they've done is with the speakers being down there.
Bottom firing.
Do you remember having issues with the speakers on like the 2XL, and like the 3 would get like a lot of dirt and stuff?
Probably can't see this, but you can see it in the light there.
Yep, that is something.
So the Pixel 3 had just two front-facing stereo speakers, where that is bottom firing, and that's a point of preference.
I love that.
For me, I like the front-firing stereo speakers because it's coming at you. However, that thing's speaker, it really surprised me because it's got a set of bottom firing speakers, but then up top, where there would be an earpiece speaker, instead of having an earpiece speaker like this, there's nothing up there. So you might look at it and be like, well, where's the speaker up top? Well, the answer is
there's not one.
There's not one. It actually is vibrating the screen to create the sound. So
I think I could feel that, like last night when we were messing around with it, like I could kind of feel that.
So the only complaint I would have about the audio quality in the Pixel 5 is that the bottom firing speakers are much louder than the top firing vibrating screen. So you get a slight imbalance in the audio's volume. But that being said, I'd actually like to put them side by side and see how they sound compared to each other. But I was really impressed. It's really a really full sound. It was honestly better than I expected it to be.
It's one of the best set of speakers I've had in a while.
Really solid, and especially maybe I just think it sounds really good because I'm coming from the Duo that sounds like tinny garbage mono awfulness, but you know, who knows. Look, here's the thing. Here's how you solve your Surface Duo's speaker problems. What you do is you carry some wireless earbuds, and that's how you fix that problem. So if you want to listen to something, pop an earbud in. It's not a big deal. They're in my pocket all the time. But you know, overall, Pixel 5 looks really good. We'll probably do a review of it at some point, maybe. Who knows? It depends on how our reception is for us talking about the Pixel phone. It may not be worth doing after, you know, a week from now or whatever. It may be kind of passe at that point to talk about. But
I recommend it. And I know that we talked about, you know, would it be a better idea to get the 4A and just put a skin on it? Yeah, that probably would have been the better idea. But I really love the back of this phone. I love the colors. I love the little metallic looking button, but it's still kind of like a green color. And yeah, the texture. I mean, you could probably get that from the skin, but it would feel a little bit different. So overall, I'm very happy with this phone. I can't wait to do more with it. Also, the battery life is just like, whoa, above and beyond the Pixel 3.
Oh yeah, the Pixel 3 was terrible. I saw last night when you got home, you were at like 51%, and you had
charged it all day.
You had it unplugged since would have been what, 7:30 or so, and at this point we're talking what, 10:30. So it made it from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. with half its charge. It's a 2-day. It's a 2-day phone. I mean, it genuinely, if you were to be careful with it, it could legitimately be a 2-day phone, which is great. I mean, that's awesome. So talking about phones, we mentioned the new iPhone here briefly. One of the things that they are bringing to the new line of iPhones, they're bringing back something called Magsafe. So Magsafe was a feature on the old MacBooks, and basically what it was a magnetic charger. So you wouldn't actually plug it in; it would just kind of magnetically attach, like the Surface line. And that way it's called MagSafe because we've all had this experience. Our phone's plugged in, we get up, we trip over the cable, and we chuck our laptop or our phone across the room. Terror ensues. It's horrible. So MagSafe was that, if you do that, it'll just unplug, and you're not going to lose your device. Right. So MagSafe on the new iPhone, which I'm showing on the screen for those that are watching this, it's basically this little puck that will magnetically snap onto the back of your iPhone, even through a case, if it's the correct case, and it will charge your phone. Now, I don't know that they should call it MagSafe because of videos I've seen people literally holding their phone up with this magnet, so I kind of feel like it's, you want it to be strong so it doesn't slip off, but yeah, you may chuck your phone even still. Two things I'll say about this. I think I talked about this in another video. I'm almost positive. It might have been in a podcast episode. Yeah, it was, because we talked about the Palm Pre Touchstone that was the same, very similar concept where the phone would magnetically attach and would charge, and this was done, you know, in ye olden days at this point. So, cool. I mean, I like it. I like that kind of thing. Here's where things are getting weird. There have been rumors for some time that Apple has been pushing towards a phone. These rumors really started when the headphone jack went away. They're pushing for a phone with no ports. None.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. So, and that would kind of be really neat, but I don't know that it's necessarily the way that we should all go. But it would be really cool.
And actually, now that I'm saying this, I think that the Meizu Zero actually, Meizu made a phone that had literally no ports. It was called the Meizu Zero. And, I mean, it's a neat thing to do. But at this, I guess the idea would be like, you know, if you want to transfer data, you would use something like MagSafe, and that would have data transfer. Or it would just be done wirelessly. which is becoming more and more a thing. Think about it like this. You've got your Pixel 5, which has wireless charging, and we've got a wireless charging little stand that you're going to drop it on to charge it overnight. And you're probably never going to... So how often do you anticipate, given your battery life day one, that you're actually going to plug your phone into a USB cable?
For me, probably not often.
Probably like almost never.
Yeah.
And if we had wireless chargers strewn throughout the house like we do charging cables, it would literally be effectively never. When was the last time you plugged in your phone to transfer data off of it?
Never.
Years, probably.
Well, I don't know that I've ever done that.
Most people are like that. Like, let's think about like our parents. Like, when's the last time my mom plugged her iPhone into a computer? Has she ever done that? It's literally a charger. So, I mean, theoretically, if it's going to charge wirelessly through a Magsafe puck or something like that, why does it matter? You know, like my initial reaction to this was that I was like, here's Apple just doing weird stuff for no discernible reason. But no one's really using that feature anyways. And if wireless charging is ubiquitous, they're definitely not going to be using it. So then the question is, what are you losing? So you're losing something you're not really using. So what are you gaining from losing the charging, from losing a port? What functionality do you lose by, or do you gain? I keep saying the wrong thing.
Well, it's another place that sand and dirt and water can get into.
Right. So perhaps, you know, structural integrity maybe.
Yeah.
Waterproofing maybe. It does feel to me like aesthetic is probably the right answer. Aesthetic is probably the correct answer for why would you do this? It's interesting. It's an interesting thing to do, but I don't. Do you want that? Or does it just not matter?
I don't care.
What
That's
about
me. I don't care.
How many people are still using USB-C to headphone adapters or Lightning 2 headphone adapters and using wired headphones? Is this another push to them saying, better buy those AirPods because you're not even going to have a port?
Well, I mean, for sure, everything that they do is a push to make more money, I feel like. Now, one thing I'm confused about is, how does the SIM work? Do they have SIMs?
Well, a lot of phones, that's a good question. Does iPhone have an eSIM? So some newer phones are using what's called eSIM. So it's an internal, it's done without a physical SIM. So that's a good question. Do iPhones have SIMs? They have SIM cards. Let's see here. Well, I can tell you that the iPhone 4S has a SIM card. So 8 iPhones ago, it sure does. Let's see. Let's see. Does iPhone 12 have a SIM card? It uses a nano-sized SIM card. Yes, it does currently still have a SIM card. Okay. So I mean, yeah, you'd still have a tray there, although that's probably easier to waterproof than that port, you know. Although, really, is this really that big of a problem? They're all IP68 and whatever, water resistant. So like, I don't know. I don't
know. I've never had a phone that was like truly waterproof.
Yeah, you have.
I have.
You just didn't know it. Most of your phones are. I think the Pixel 5
My Mi 9 was not.
Pixel 5 IP rating. Almost positive that one is at least 68. Yeah, the Pixel 5 is water resistant with IP68. That means the phone is protected against dust and water submersion of up to 3 feet for 30 minutes.
Okay, well, see, this is the first phone I've had that was like that.
Your Samsung phone was like that? Yeah. This has been a thing. Yes.
No.
The S10 Plus was water resistant.
Okay.
100%. And
I wish I'd known that. I would have thrown it in a pool or something.
Yeah. The IP68 for the S10 Plus.
So I'm gonna go dunk my phone. Is that a good idea?
I mean, it should be fine.
Okay, all right.
3 feet for 30 minutes.
Koi fish's face.
So the Mi 9T Pro that you had was not rated because it had the pop-up camera. The pop-up camera was the problem there. So no rating there. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think it's an aesthetic thing. I don't think it's a useful thing. I think it's taking away a feature because you want to look futuristic and cool. And I mean, look, they've not announced this. These are simply rumors. So take it with a grain of salt. But it does seem like a very Apple thing to do.
But they're probably going to do it.
Would it surprise anybody?
How would the speakers work? Would they do also screen vibration?
Depends on how far they want to go. If they want to literally have a holeless design, they would have to vibrate the screens. Because, I mean, otherwise you've got a hole there for the speaker grill.
Is that good for, like, all the internal stuff?
Should be fine.
Vibrating?
Should be fine. Do you remember LG had a thing for a while called their boom... Was it LG? I think it was. They had a feature called Boombox where basically it had, like, a hollow space in the phone that was like a resonance chamber to, like, increase the bass of their phone. And like you could
that
like
sounds really cool.
You were supposed to like put the phone on like a table and it would like vibrate. It would like basically turn the table into the subwoofer by vibrating through the table. I think that was LG.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I like stuff like that.
Maybe the light in this room is like going nuts. So
the clouds are going by. So
yeah,
the sun's coming up and down. Yeah. So let's close the show with something a little bit different or a little bit the same. So you may have noticed. We completed our series on top 10 Metacritic games of the decade. And I was thinking about something else we could do. And, you know, I was thinking back about that, about how a lot of those games were games that we really didn't play all that much or at all. So I got to thinking, there were a lot, like, through that list, there were games I kept thinking of that I was like, man, that would have been on my list, but not on this list.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to read off some games to you that came out in the year of our Lord, 2010. Why do people say that? What does that even mean? What is that even? The year of our Lord?
I don't know.
Why is 2010? I don't know. So I'm going to read off games that came out in 2010, which is also wrong. That'd be 20,010.
What did
2010.
You just say?
You know, people say like, oh, like instead of like a zero, they say aught. But I threw it in. It'd be 2010 would be the correct way to say it, I guess.
I have not heard that.
You know, the aughts.
I'm really confused.
I'm going to read off games that came out in 2010.
Okay.
And I'm just going to throw them at you. We're going to see if any of them pique our interest. I think 2010, by the looks of this, pretty damn strong year for games. So the first one that they've got listed here is Mass Effect 2. We didn't play Mass Effect. Mass Effect 2 was a game that people really liked. Then,
I know people like it, so yeah.
Red Dead Redemption came out in 2010.
Oh yeah.
Which was a tremendous game. One of my favorite Rockstar games that they ever made. Also, Red Dead's Undead Nightmare, which was their zombie expansion pack, came out in 2010, which was superb.
I never played that.
Oh man, so good. It's Western zombies.
Revisit
it
that.
Was freaking awesome. Then you got Fallout New Vegas, which I think you did play a little bit of.
Tiny bit.
But again, good game. Call of Duty Black Ops, which was like the last Call of Duty game I bought for a long time.
I played that one.
People enjoyed the Call of Duties, you know, so whatever. Super Mario Galaxy.
I enjoyed the campaign on that one.
I can't play campaigns in Call of Duty. I don't give two shits about any of those stories. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm a campaign person, so.
I don't know. There's something about I just don't care. There's something about like, I don't know, like just military stories just generally don't do much for me. I don't know. Something about it just doesn't grab me. What did grab me was Super Mario Galaxy 2, which was fan-freaking-tastic, and we've already talked about it on the show in the past. We won't dig too deep into it, but basically it just takes, if you're playing, you know, the new All-Stars game, you're playing Mario Galaxy, just imagine that with Yoshi, and you've got it, and it's fantastic. Did you play Limbo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Limbo came out in 2010.
That was the one that, when we got together, you had your Vita, and you were like, hey, try this one, and I got hooked on it, but I, like, needed a lot of help with the puzzles.
Yeah. Limbo was a tremendous game. In the very beginning, the big spider legs come out of the corner and then go and stab at you. Man, no. If it would get you, was so sad. The little boy's silhouette just dangling off of the spider's spiky leg. Limbo was awesome. Halo Reach, Battlefield Bad Company 2. Bad Company 2 was a game that I put a ton of time into. Loved Bad Company 2. Multiplayer was so much fun. It had such a just like a crazy open, I mean, like when you play Battlefield, there's just so many like Battlefield only moments where you're like, well, that stuff only happens on Battlefield. And now, you know, Call of Duty's kind of trying to get into some of the open, big, giant maps and crazy stuff like that. It's kind of wild to me that Battlefield hasn't had a really good BR mode yet. They've got a BR mode, but it wasn't that great. I'm showing a video right now of somebody who put C4 on a ATV and then drove it into a tank and detonated it. Like, that's like Battlefield shit, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Battlefield was always so much fun. I'm gonna skip
You played
over.
a lot of that. A lot,
man.
just the Battlefield in general.
Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. Yeah, love those games. Super Meat Boy. Did you ever play Super Meat Boy?
I played it a little bit. Did not love it.
It's definitely not a Jessi game, but Super Meat Boy was a ton of fun. It was super hardcore, super, super difficult, unforgiving platformer where everything that you possibly could touch would kill you in one hit. Giant razor blades and just nutty things like that. The cool thing about it, too, is it was made by, I think, literally 2 people made the game. And it turned into this colossal success that I don't think many people were really expecting. So Super Meat Boy was awesome. God of War 3.
That was like, I played that game a lot. Because it was so beautiful compared to 1 and 2. And
Was
that
it
was
on the-
like
Was it on
PS3.
the PS3? Yeah. So that was their jump to the PS3.
That was like one of the only games I had for PS3 when I bought it.
Yeah.
I had that and Tomb Raider Underworld.
Yep. It was solid. You played BioShock 2 and enjoyed it. You played 2.
I did.
And have you not played 1, or did you play 2 before you played 1?
I think I played 2, and I don't know if I've played 1. I think I've played like a
little
few
bit of
hours
it.
of 1.
Yeah.
But I played 2 first.
'Cause I remember
'cause
thinking
I played
that was...
as the Big Daddy,
Yeah.
right? And 2.
I remember thinking when you told me that, I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Who plays Battlefield? Who plays BioShock 2, but they've not played the first BioShock?
Well, it's because I was poor and I just kind of got my games on clearance when I could find them.
Yeah. Underrated game. Had some cool multiplayer components as well. Pretty good game.
It was a very cool atmosphere, and I applaud any game developer that can create, you know, like a set or an atmosphere or a mood. That game has a mood. Like, that is such a
Oh, yeah. It's
creepy,
atmospheric.
apocalyptic, weird time kind of thing. Loved it.
Speaking of games with great atmosphere and mood, did you ever actually get to check out Heavy Rain?
Yeah. Yeah. I played that one too as well. I moved in with you and you had like this stack of games and I was like, "Oh, these are all games I've never heard of. I'm going to play them all."
Heavy
So
Rain.
I played, yeah.
That game was I mean, the first thing you got to know about it was the origami killer. Basically, Heavy Rain is this origami. It was this like narrative driven, like if you saw
Like a crime show almost.
yeah, they made another game that's very similar. It's a branching path narrative crime serial killer drama, big twist at the end, and it's yeah, it's got some intense moments where you're you know, you gotta maybe cut your finger off to get a clue about where Jason, your kid might be. Jason.
That broke me.
That
literally broke me when I played that part. Like, I was almost in tears. I'm walking through this crowd and I'm like, Jason.
Yeah. You're like walking around
fun.
and you're like looking for where your kid, I think you find him at the end of that scene actually, but you're walking around. They're not doing it right.
Jason!
There you go. So you're just walking around looking for your kid, and for some
Jason!
reason this became a meme. Because so many people were
Why
acting
wouldn't
like
it?
idiots. Because so many people were acting like
Jason!
idiots, like standing in one spot, just looking around, going, "Jason, Jason." But really, really interesting game. Really different, really ambitious game. Never really had played anything like it up to that point. And there really aren't many games like it, even today.
I didn't finish it. It's been 10 years and I still have not finished it, and I probably won't.
I don't think you ever will. Rock Band 3, a lot of good memories there.
Oh God, we spent so much time playing that game.
A lot of good memories on Rock Band 3. Civilization 5, spent a little bit of time with. Just Cause 2, played a little bit of that. And I guess that's really the big hitters for 2010 as far as stuff that we have actually played. That's a
Hold on. There's got to be more.
I mean, there are more, but I don't know that there's any more that either one of us played a ton of.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was gonna say I played a ton of Tomb Raider, but that came in 2008. So.
Yep. So I mean, man, 2010 was a pretty damn good year.
Now
that's some
I
good
played
stuff.
a lot of guitar. What was it? It's the rock band of Guitar Hero. I forget, Band Hero, I think is what it was called, which was like nobody played that one, and that one came out in 2009.
Yeah.
It was like the generic rock band. Yeah.
I think we'll keep rolling with this segment. There's more stuff to talk about. 2010 looked pretty good. I don't want to jump ahead of things here, but 2011
was even better.
Jesus, like just looking at the first handful of games, there's a lot. We'll talk about it on the next episode, but 2011 looks like an incredible year for games. So we'll maybe we'll look at it ahead of time and we'll both pick out 2 or 3 games that we want to dig into or something.
Right. So before we end this topic, out of all those games, which would have been your favorite that you played?
I mean, if we're saying favorite based on time spent in it, it's Battlefield Bad Company 2. I don't think that there's any game on that list that I spent more time with than Battlefield.
As much as I loved God of War 3, I would put that at a number 2 spot out of this list, and I would put Red Dead at a number 1 spot, just because the goofy shit that I would get into on that one.
Red Dead was I mean, a lot of good games there, but yeah, I think that's fair. Well, guys, I think that brings us to the end of this episode. So like I said earlier, you can head over to scaryifliteral.com for all the social links, ways to find our content, and our Twitter account at scaryifliteral. Things like that. Several ways for you to support the show there as well. We are experimenting with the idea of launching a merchandise store in the near future as another way to bring in a little bit of revenue. Maybe if you got an idea for like a shirt or something. I'm thinking about maybe a shirt that says "Stay Nerdy, my friends" on it. If I can, I don't want to get sued by somebody. Look, I've been saying that for like a decade. But there's probably somebody that's got a copyright on it or something. But maybe no one will notice. So we're trying to find out some ways to maybe get a merchandise store going. So stay tuned. Maybe on the Twitter account for that. Hopefully have an announcement on that relatively soon. So yeah, thank you for joining me today. Jessi, my name is Shane. This was Podcast Revived. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.